Because you get to be invested in your character when the project's done, especially if it's like a documentary or something. I've specifically gone onto jobs where they were like, you weren't our first choice or our second, but you were available. I could see the enjoyment on his face, and I was like, that's the coolest feeling ever. Like, honestly, I would have more leverage with a very small YouTube channel because people know me.
I want to tap in another side of you that is actually how we met. We share the same theater, and we had our documentaries playing last year at the Orlando Film Festival. And, you know, throughout all the things we have to do, all the different clients we do, what is your heart on? Because, like, I thought your documentary was really good, and I saw how it stand out from the blog, you know. And I think it's something you do pretty well, and I would like to know where your passions, as you know, we always have that part of, yeah, we this is our career, we get money out of that, and where's your heart on, like, where's your artistry coming through? Like, are you even try to pursue sometime you know, like skateboarding again or stuff like that?
No, the skateboarding train has left. I really, I really wish it could have worked out. My friend who grew up 4 houses down became a pro skater.
No way.
So I was like, oh, there's really no excuses here. like we had the exact same conditions, and he was just able to take it a lot further. And that's his career. He's a professional skateboarder. Like, what a cool life. But
Except for the injuries.
He's doing it on your behalf.
Yeah, for all of us in Cocoa Beach. Yeah.
Heck yeah.
Yeah. So we got him, Clive Dixon, and we got Kelly Slater for surfing.
Yeah, Kelly Slater is right there, dude. He's best surfer in the world, super like well known in Brazil, and he's like from Cocoa, literally. But he also surfs in other beaches around, but like literally from Cocoa, which is insane.
Yeah.
Like,
but that documentary I did about a regional MMA fighter who wants to become professional, I didn't even have like the forethought to see where it could go or any future timeline for it. It had just started with me. I was looking on Instagram, and I was like, I know that name, and I sent it to my buddy, and I was like, do you remember like having chemistry with this guy in high school in 9th grade? He's gonna be fighting like in 2 weeks. You want to go? So we went there. He ended up losing. I was like, okay, well, I'm not gonna say hi. Like, I reached out to him later, and I was like, do you want to do like a Instagram video? Like, reels are just coming out. You can do 15 seconds. I think it'd be cool to get you at the gym, like hitting pads, working out, and all that stuff.
very a little bit here.
Yeah. And I was like, I think I could make a really cool thing, and just experiment with lighting and no client and doing whatever I wanted, and he'll be cool with whatever, you know. And that was something where I was like, this will be like my fun little project, 15-second reel. And then when I was there, he said, I have a fight coming up. I can see if I can get you in there, like get you media credentials. So that ended up working out, and the promoter said, the only reason I'm saying yes to you is because I like this guy, and I know he's a cool guy, so he's going to bring in someone that I trust. So same thing, networking, reputation. And then we filmed that, and then we filmed multiple fights, and I was like, I definitely have a documentary here. And so I put that together, and the satisfaction of going to Foxtail Coffee Shop and putting the headphones on him and hitting play and watching him watch the last 5 months of his life in a movie, like a very amateur documentary, but I could see the enjoyment on his face, and I was like, that's the coolest feeling ever. Like, that was so worth it. I made something I was proud of. It's 12 minutes long. It's got this whole story arc. I was doing like first act, middle act, you know, like I'm doing the movie thing. And then that was like, oh, that was good enough. And then I was like, well, I could see if I can get into one festival. All I want is that laurel. at the top of my poster. That would be so cool. And then I got into 5 of them, and the one that was one of the coolest moments was I live in downtown, and I walked 2 blocks to the theater where they're hosting, and that's where I met you guys. Same thing before, action brings action. If I just see people who are on their own movement, I'm like, oh, this is cool. Like, I know they're not gonna try to like just take from me. We can talk about like this cool journey like together. And so that's how I met you guys. And then it was a hot minute before I saw you guys again. But it's so cool to see like you guys are doing these other things, and then I'm hosting this event where you can come, and then you guys have your podcast. And I just love being around people like that who are always, I'm trying to figure out my next move rather than have an employer or someone else be like, tell me what to do next. Like, it's way more fun to say, what have you been up to? And they're like, oh, let me tell you. Like, so many things have changed.
So I have a question for you. I think it's my last question, but it is my last question because we're like almost hour and a half already, almost. So, with what you just said, I could see your eyes like shining as you were saying how you felt about him watching that. And then probably same thing when you saw it on the big screen, right? That feeling is unmatched for me personally. And when I get the audience reactions at the moments that I wanted them to react, right? They react the way that I planned. It's like, oh my God, like it's hitting. Because I think art, when you're creating it and you're in the process of that, what you're trying to do is transfer to the audience or whoever it is that's watching it the same feeling you first had when you created it or thought of it in the first place. That's the whole thing with art. And if you can transfer just 1% of it to that people that are in the audience, then you did your job. And I saw that sparkle in your eye when you were talking about that. How do you feel about your corporate work being, and I'm not saying it's bad. I'm not saying corporate work is something that you shouldn't do. I am legitimately asking you, how do you feel about doing something that's so like, okay, 3-point lighting, that's my audio, that's how I set up my camera, this is it, versus your feeling when you did the documentary? And is part of the enjoyment of that transferring skills from one thing to the other? How do you plan to balance those things from now on?
Yeah, so doing a documentary with a subject where you're following his life and there is no definite schedule, right? You're following what's going to happen. That chaos is really fun to live in, where, you know, there was a really hard down point in that film. And I was like, do we stop the film? Do we keep going? This whole thing's an adventure. And then you go to the flip side, corporate work. Both of those have satisfaction. It's a different type of satisfaction. So one is like a much more emotional satisfaction. I love being in the back row whenever there's a premiere and watching people like whisper and like, oh my gosh, like that's so fun to watch the audience watch your stuff. It's very satisfying. And then when I do some corporate work, it's a lot of, this is what is expected or required during the shoot. And if I can hit every single one of them out of the park and we finish, I'm like, I crushed this. Everything has gone good. The client like just loved how this went. My client was like, well, I'm gonna hire this guy again. You know, the freelancer was talking to the client and my client was like, okay, we're good here. You know, no weird things happening. So it's a different thing where the satisfaction, I don't know if it's equal, but it's very much like I did a great job on that. Also pays a lot more. So I'm like, well, this is great. They're gonna call me back. They're gonna have some other time where they need me or whatever. And I'm like, this is really helping me move forward. And I like having both of those. If I was smart, I would do another documentary, because that doc led to so many opportunities. And kind of what you mentioned before, going into a world, I love that about doing video, because you get to literally walk into someone's world for an 8-hour day or whatever, and you're usually with prominent people in that world, and because they need to be filmed for whatever purpose, and you get to hear everything in a very concentrated situation, and then the next day you're in something completely different, and you're like, this is so cool.
It's crazy.
It is. It is really cool. It gives you so much perspective of what actually life is about. You know,
Yeah.
you can't live all the sets at once, but you can jump into each
That's
one of it
crazy.
every day. You know what I mean?
I told you, right, that those interviews I did when I first started my career, I went to Miami and I was recording this vlog for this Hispanic influencer, but he was interviewing millionaires in Miami. So he would go and we would do interviews, and every single story motivated me to push more what I wanted to do, because everything was like, how'd you become rich? And every single story was like, I just wanted to do what I wanted to do, no matter what.
Yeah.
I like doing this. I kept doing it for years, broke. Then I became so good at it. And then, everyone had their own individual ways of how they did it. But then it was always the same realization of like, whoa, if they like doing what they're doing, why don't I do things that I like specifically doing? I don't like doing vlogs. Because like that, I hated following him around just because, cool, I'm a vlogger's camera guy going around. But now it's like, now everything I do, it's like, what do I like to do? And then you do it. And then it doesn't matter if you get paid $10 or $2,000. It's like the joy and satisfaction of doing something you enjoy and then watching people react to it. Especially, a film, it's people's emotions, people's following along with the plot, the ups, the downs, the emotions you get. Like you said, the clients, when they put it on their marketing team, and then they're like, we got the results we wanted. Our teams have a
Because
10%
helping
increase.
business, there's a lot of stories behind a business, and then you get to talk to the owner or just the CEO, and then you get another life perspective.
In reality, you're making the business owner's dream come true. Like now
Yeah,
their things
that
are
too.
selling.
Yeah.
Now they're growing as a company. So you're making their lives better by making the best type of work you can and providing that service.
Yeah, and you get to kind of go in usually when the work's already done, and you're like, oh, that's how you scaled this business for the last 8 years. You're like, oh, that's interesting. I could see how that could apply to me.
Exactly.
And then the next day, like I'm sure when you were doing the vlogging for that guy who was interviewing successful people,
Yeah.
you were taking notes.
Everything they said, I was like, oh my God. And it's, most of them wasn't even things that would even, like some of them were like car dealerships. There was an actor, you know the guy that made Roomba, the dance, the Zumba. He created Zumba. I thought Zumba was like a thing from like the 1800s. It was made in the 90s by this Colombian guy. Wow. And we're in his penthouse in South Beach in like floor 1000 with like the best view in the world. And he's
Guess
telling
who
this story.
connected him with that guy? Exactly.
See, I can never tell a story because he has to bring it up.
I connected him to his mother.
But the small little things you do that you never know by reaching out. Because I connect, that's right, like he connected me to him. But I reached out to his friend as a PA. And then eventually I pushed to be his DP after like 5 projects of pushing. So you never know all these small little things and all these connections.
There's so many times where I've specifically gone onto jobs where they were like, you weren't our first choice or our second. But you were available. And I'm like, well, I'm here. Like, let's do a good job. And then it just turned out that I became the first option for the next one. Yeah.
You mentioned money, and I wanted to ask you, that's I think the only thing we didn't talk about. How do you don't have to say specific numbers, but how do you price yourself today compared to how you used to? How did your prices go up? And I want to hear about that, but also, do you do an hourly rate? Do you do a day rate? How do you, just for people out there that are starting out and they're in different positions, if you have any tips?
So let's keep it in the corporate interview space, right? Or trade shows or conferences, all that type of corporate work. I've been lucky where a lot of the pay increases, those decisions have been made for me. And I started right after college, and I was getting like, I think 225 per day for like a 10 to 12 hour day. And I was like, this is amazing. Like, I don't know what hourly that works out to, but it's not that great. And, but I was
like 20 something, $25, 22.
Which is good. Just depends on how often they call you. So I was being flown to Chicago, Boston, San Diego, all around very frequently, racking up these like $225 day rates, usually 4-day gigs. So I was like, oh, this is good. Like not a problem at all. And then I think like a year went by and I was like, can I like raise this? I feel really scared because I'm a freelancer.
Yeah, it's a scary thing when you're first doing it.
Yeah, it is scary. And I think I asked for like $50 more and they said, okay. So, so that was.
It's getting PTSD flashbacks.
Yeah, I know. I'm thinking about getting paid $225.
I'm gonna get you another one?
Yeah. So that little bit of increase of money was really nice. And I held that for a while. I think maybe like a year and a half later, it went to like 300, but I don't know what is the industry standards. Like I have no clue. I've only freelanced for this production company for this type of work. And then I think it got up to like 400 and I was like, this is like great. I'm so okay with this. I'm getting flown out multiple times per month. It's really fun work. It's not hard, maybe long days. And then I was at, someone recommended me for another job. And it was the exact same thing that I said before. Someone left this company, went somewhere else, and they needed another freelancer. Like, well, I worked with this other guy at another company. So when I was on that phone call, the guy was saying, yeah, we're doing 4 days of corporate work. Just like, he's like, I don't want to negotiate price at all. Just the national industry standard, $900 a day and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, wait, what? $900 a day?
Of course.
I was like, I didn't know this was an accepted thing. And there really is no like hard set industry standard, but there is like a range that is expected. And that range expected me to have a camera, lighting, audio, a couple other tidbits around for when they ask for, maybe, do we have clamps to hold this? Oh, we got clamps. Got something. That is like that higher level of like, we expect you to have this level of gear. So then I switched it to, or I didn't switch it to that, but I was like, now I know that exists. And then maybe a year later, this guy goes, hey, I'm a freelance videographer myself. We've actually worked for similar companies. I need another videographer for the job I'm producing. What's a rate? What's your rate? And I said, well, what's the job? And he said, it's going to be this and this, but I need to know, like, I will change that scope depending on your rate. And we just went back and forth. What's your rate? What's your budget? What's your, all that stuff. And finally, we figured out a number. And at the end of the job, after everything had been done, he said, hey, from freelancer to freelancer, that process was not good. Like, if you are talking to a business guy, I understand you are wanting to know what the scope is so that you can give a fair number, but you need to give a number, like a hard number that you would actually take no matter what. And he told me my rate is, I think he said like $11.50 or something. Okay, good to know. Good to know. So moving on, I had another job from some app. I think it was Upwork, the freelancer app. Last minute, production company is coming to Orlando, and they said, we need to hire you for a half day. We need camera, light, audio. You're going to do interviews and B-roll. Our budget is $600 for a half day. Like, wow, that's great. Before they paid me, I spent all the money on getting the lights and mics and everything that I knew I was going to have to operate at that level. And then when they got the footage back, they were like, this is great. You're our Florida guy now. Like, you will be the freelancer that we contact. A month later, hey, we have another job. What's your full day rate? And I just was like, well, if you told me 600 was the half day, let's just make it 1,200. Done. Here's the address, blah, blah, blah. And so that number became my number for a long time. And it's still pretty much around there, depending on a couple of other factors. So $1,200 for an 8-hour day, 10-hour day with camera, lighting, audio, and we're pretty much only doing interviews and B-roll is something that I will do all the time. It's so quick. Turn over the footage at the end and then drive
Never see
home.
it again.
Yeah, you're done. You're completely done. I wish I could see the videos, but
The final videos, but I'm saying not
Yeah.
touch it again.
no,
Don't do
I am
post.
completely done at that
And what was
point.
your first gig? How much?
Like
How
way
much did you
back?
pay? Yeah, way back.
Well, it was that $225 day rate.
That was the first thing.
Like for corporate work.
Yeah, and then before that, it was just a $30,
$60 real estate
$60.
job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mine was 30. That's what I
Yeah.
said.
So yeah, I know yours was 30. Yours was what, 200?
Yeah, but that was a full wedding. I remember, yeah, that was my first wedding, but I used to do graduation pictures.
For how much?
And it would be $40.
Okay, there you go. So 40, 35.
I feel like I
Yeah.
got the short on this thing because mine's 50, but it was like a whole 10-hour shoot. Everyone's like, yeah, $50 for like an hour. I'm over here like, yeah, 10-hour day,
Yeah.
$50.
Yeah, and what you said before about going into someone else's world, I think that's a benefit that we can all get as videographers or production people. But it's really cool because you get to be invested in your character when the project's done, especially if it's like a documentary or something.
Mm.
You know, you have to make the decision that the documentary story stops here,
Mhm.
but it's their life. Their life keeps going.
Mhm.
So you're still kind of interested and you're connected to that world still. So I did that documentary about the fighter, met the promoter. He ended up becoming a repeat client till this day. And when this large docuseries production came from Vegas to here, they said, we need one more hand on set. The promoter gave my name and said, I already have the guy, I work with him. So I've done so many cool things because of that documentary, and like the world keeps opening up more and more to the point where my doc subject was like, well, hey, if you want to come by the house, we can train in my garage. So he was able to teach me stuff. Yeah.
Well, the reason why I'm producing this new documentary about breast cancer awareness is literally the second day of screen. A girl came up to me, showed me a business card, and told me, I think this person would love to watch this. Watch. Nothing with like production or anything. I'm like, okay. I did send an email.
For your previous documentary, you're talking about, right? Yeah.
So Ink Therapy, just send the link because I have it on YouTube. I didn't have like big expectation. Oh, I'm gonna keep it under. No, I put it on YouTube and I always share that. And I sent it to her, and then I knew about her research, and it ended up being related to tattoo. And then some people ask me, oh, so are you super into tattoo and stuff? And I'm like, not really, but I walk in that door and then I found so many other doors, and this one just opened up, and I'm invested in this story now. But it just came from the same subject that I didn't even think about it. And then I'm talking a whole different topic, which is medical tattooing. That is something I didn't know. So I'm treating my audience as I was like very ignorant of all these little things, and then now I want to educate in the new like application of the tattoo thing. So it's crazy because like I'm treating myself as I'm discovering, but I'm also telling a story, and then I'm being connected to the world somehow. So it's pretty.
It's like the power of showing your passion. Like you made this documentary, you put it somewhere.
Yeah.
Someone saw the passion and then they connected you.
And
Same with you.
And now your perspective is valuable because you have an outside perspective. And you can relate to the people who are going to watch this film with an outside perspective.
Correct.
And that is valuable in itself. Because you can do a documentary about a subject that you are well versed in, and you can really share a lot of details. But if most of the audience is outside of that, it's like, I really need to connect to them. I don't really need to connect to my subject in the deepest way. The purpose of this is to make a good film for the masses.
Don't preach to
100%.
the ones that are already following
Yeah.
you, basically. Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
So real quick,
Last one.
before
You
we
wanna do your
wrap,
last one?
I really do want to jump into this. I want to jump into the YouTube realm, what you've done in the past. What, like 2 years now? It's been
It's almost 2 years.
almost 2 years. Why YouTube? Why did you even start? And what are the benefits of you even doing what you're doing right now?
Well, I don't know about you guys, but I watch a lot of YouTube videos. I have a lot of people that they take up a lot of my viewing time. And there's this one guy in Texas, and he was a lifelong career freelance DP, probably in his 50s.
Yeah.
And he was doing a behind the scenes vlog with his phone where it wasn't this story arc episode. It was him just taking out his phone and filming, like, this is why I don't like this brand of tripod, because whenever I do this, I can't release this thing. And now it takes an extra second for me to seat it, and I have to double check. And then it goes on to the next thing 20 minutes later. I was like, oh, that's good to know about that. Like, I can't afford that tripod, but that's just information I would never have if I didn't watch this video. So I felt like I was on a job shadow. And he kept putting out these vlogs like every single week. And he's doing high-level commercials. He's doing E&G work for the news. He's doing documentary interviews. And I was like, this guy is working consistently as a freelance DP in his 50s. Like, I wasn't even really sure if that was a possibility. Do people do that? Or do they all have to fall into the, I guess I need a production company, I need to make one so I can scale and not have to carry the camera because it's heavy, right? This guy was still doing like this kind of like like singular role. And he's got a wife, he's got a kid, he's got a family, he could make a living doing this. And I just got so intrigued by that I said, I'm gonna just copy exactly what he's doing, but show my level of work. So I would credit him a lot. Like, hey, if you guys like what I'm doing, go watch The Cranky Cameraman. That's his YouTube channel, and he does this at a much higher level. But there's a lot of people who find value in what I'm doing because it's a little bit more within their reach. And so I already knew the style. It's his style. That's what I like, so that's what I'm going to put out. And I just kept making them behind the scenes videos. This is what I'm doing. This is the problems I'm having with the gear, or this is the issues with a project like this, all of that stuff. And I would just shoot it on my phone, edit it on my phone, and upload to YouTube on my phone and make the thumbnail in Instagram on the stories editor. And I kept posting it, and people were like, oh, this is great. Like, you're being so transparent. I didn't know. Like, you'd get a 16-year-old and they'd be like, I didn't know, like, you could be at your age and be doing this. I assumed I would have had to be doing movies, you know? But there is this level of work that you can make a comfortable income doing what you want, having a lot of free time to be able to do documentaries or passion projects. And I just started covering every single job that I did. So if you wanted to know how many times I work, just look at how many vlogs there are, and you could see every single type of job, and a lot of them are different. Some of them are majoritively corporate work, but there's just, recently in the past, it's been gimbal operator for ESPN. It's been a camera operator to cover a resort in the Bahamas. It's been a lot of corporate work. It's been some B-roll lifestyle types of things. You can see all of it in there. And it just started coming back where there was an overwhelming appreciative type of feeling. And I was like, oh, that feels really good because I like making these. And first and foremost, like, this is like a video diary for me. So I can always look back and be like, oh yeah, I remember that when I was young and doing this and that. And I try to interject a lot of me in there. So if I'm driving to Tallahassee to cover an MMA fight, I'm going to stop off at the Springs on the way back and go underwater with a GoPro, and I'll just put one clip in, and it's pretty easy to identify, oh, that's that guy's videos. He's always like doing that type of stuff. He's got long hair and he's got this type of setup, and it looks like it's shot on a phone, because it is. And it's just been coming back way more than I thought it would. Not so much the money, but I've gotten so many jobs from people watching my videos, and they're like, hey, I've never kind of had this situation, but I already trust you because I've seen you consistently work for other clients. So I'd like to hire you because we're going to do something in Orlando. And like, I would not have gotten that job. They wouldn't have been able to find me. And I'm just pushing out everything that I'm learning onto that channel. So for someone at my level or even above or below, you can find value in it because it's my unique situation. Just like if you had a vlog channel, it would be completely different than mine and be like, oh, so that's how he makes a living? Because I feel like when you're younger, you're like, can I like pay rent with this consistently enough? Like, how do I convince my mom that?
As a filmmaker, the answer is no. No, no, you can't.
As someone in video, right?
Yeah, I know.
You're just like, your mom is like, I don't know that world, and
I don't trust that engineer.
yeah. So it's been this huge benefit where the only reason I'm here is because of that vlog. It's because I held the Orlando Filmmaker Meetup. You came. Vipul hired me. He hired you. We've worked on multiple jobs. We were just in Vegas. And it's like if my little vlog has actually made a ton of jobs for a lot of people. It's connected a lot of people with the Orlando Filmmaker Meetups that I'm hosting. And it's just that thing I said before, like action brings action. If you are pushing and moving and shaking, like other people are like, oh, seems like a good space to be in, rather than a stagnant one where everybody's like, I'm not going to share my secrets because you're going to take them. Like, you think you can get further if you just share.
I love that. I love that.
And it's amazing too, because like I remember before I saw you at the documentary at the film festival.
You already knew him from YouTube.
Yeah, I saw him on YouTube. Yeah,
he turns to me and he's like, "Yo, that guy's a famous YouTuber," and I was like, there was so much shit going on that I was like, I don't know who you're talking about, man.
And that was the main reason I went up to you. I was just like, wait, because I had a Blackmagic and I just bought an R7, and then since I bought an R7, you know how the Google algorithm is. It's like, oh, Canon. This guy now likes Canon, and then Canon Florida.
That's how he showed up.
And then boom, that's when your
Canon C70.
I didn't know that.
Canon C70 vlogs.
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh snap, this guy does what I do. And I'm like, wait a minute. And then it's funny because like I know Orlando so well. I was like, wait a minute, I know that parking garage. Wait a minute, I know this, I know that. And then I was like, oh, whatever. I don't think I saw you. I think in August, and then I saw you in person at the film festival, and I was like, well, I have to say something. I have to reach out and I have to talk to this guy. And then boom, and then how many people have seen you in public and gone up to you?
None.
So I'm the first one, personally. But I was like, hey, yo, and then you never know like how those small little things like affect you years later. It's been a year and a half since then.
Yeah, I totally agree, and it's really nice for me to be able to like start throwing things at the wall, and then other people are like, oh, that's really cool, and I'm like, oh, okay, well, I liked doing that, so maybe I'll do that, and then let me try this other thing, and then let me try this other thing. And lately it's been a lot of I'm trying to grow my own brand, because right now the money is coming in from client to production company to me. And just like I said before, when my buddy lost his contract, that was a huge chunk of my income gone. I want to have the money go from consumer to me. And I want to have multiple pillars of income. So this one where I can do paid work and double dip and build my own brand for whatever I want to do in the future, whether that's, charging for events, whether that's providing value through an e-course or whatever, I will at least have some momentum there, rather than, I've met so many people who have said, oh, I've been in the business for 20, 30 years. And it's like, that's great. but like if you tried to like use that as leverage, no one cares.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't make a difference.
Mhm.
So honestly, I would have more leverage with a very small YouTube channel because people know me.
Yeah.
And they've seen my authentic videos, so they're like, okay, well, we kind of trust you now. And I try to retain that authenticity with everything that I say, whether that's like an affiliate program or whatever. I try to just let them know. Like, let's say, so I have done an affiliate program with the Art of Documentary. Are
Yeah.
you guys in it?
No, we're not in our
But
You're not in it, but you know about it.
Yeah.
Online Academy. I purchased to get in there, and I had a ton of value. And I was posting my vlogs in their Facebook group. And they said, hey, we see you always posting in here. Action brings action. We want to partner with you and see if you'd be interested in an affiliate program when we open our doors next semester. If you can provide a link, and then you'll get a discount code, and then you get some money in return. So I did 2, I'm going to call them integrations in my vlog, which one of them was walking out of the grocery store saying, I bought into this program. I got a lot of value out of it. They have a great Facebook group where you can network with people from all around the world, and they have some good modules that you can learn from. But the real value is that Facebook group. That was the integration. And like I had like my raw chicken and my groceries, and like as I was going into my car. So I don't know, it was like 16 people purchased with my link.
That's crazy.
And a lot of them were
Not
like,
bad.
hey, I used your link because I
That's
like
not
your
bad,
stuff.
dude.
And so I got a couple grand from that. And I had no problem with that affiliate membership because I was like, dude, I paid full price to be in here.
Mhm.
Like you guys are paying cheaper than what I did, but I'm letting you know what's working. And it's just a different, or I'll say another pillar of like, hey, that was some money coming in this way, money coming in this way. And the YouTube channel has been so valuable, like so valuable. Like I said, not really on the money aspect. I do see it going there in the future, but in the networking, having like the authority, like you just saw me in a random theater and you're like, oh, that's that guy. It has really changed and catalyzed my position, my very low level position in my career. It has really like given an extra like rocket booster to it in this side way.
I love
love
it.
that.
I love it because it's a lot of exposing yourself, and there's a lot of, like, I'll say, insecurities about like showing your authenticity. But it really is valuable because like the more honest you are with your processes, the better you connect with people. Because like there's not such a thing of being like they're being all like knowledgeable and be like, oh, I know everything. Because like that's when you kind of bring the different perception. Like if you're like just one of us but you want to tell your own story, that's very valuable. So
You alluded to it earlier. You can retain the authenticity if you share and you don't preach. If you preach, you're signaling, I know it all.
Yeah.
If you share your wins and losses, I trust you more.
Because
You're human.
especially in a world where you can edit things out and you can just pretend that you're a certain authority in what you do, and then in reality, where is your work? I never seen you on set. You're telling me you can teach me how to be the best filmmaker. I haven't seen your work. I haven't seen you on set. I don't know what you do.
I
I really don't know
I
what
haven't
you
seen
do.
the
You
fruits
just
of your
tell me.
labor. I haven't seen
Yeah.
everyone talking about this one guy.
Yeah.
And it's interesting how human psychology works of like, with everything, not even just what you're doing online. It's like people like authenticity. People like someone that isn't perfect. The more perfect you are, the more disconnect there is.
Yeah, the videos that have drama in it where I mess up have way more engagement than the ones where everything goes perfect. And if I'm the viewer, I want to see the learning experience because I want to, like I had that situation before, I want to learn from you.
Mhm.
I don't want to make the mistakes myself. And if I can watch this video and do that, I'm going to keep watching because you're
Yeah.
going to keep saving me. And there's so many YouTubers that just sit at a desk and they preach, and you're wondering,
Yeah.
wait, do you have your own clients? Are you in this world that you're talking about? And some of them are, and some of them aren't, but you believe the ones that are showing you that they are.
Oh yeah.
So
Showing, not telling.
that's why I really liked that guy's style of vlog, Cranky
Yeah.
Cameraman's vlog, because I got to see this guy working. He didn't say like, "Oh, I was on a job for 4 days." It's like
No, he's showing
you're
you.
in the
Yeah,
job,
yeah,
and
I like
so
that.
if you get to see that, it's like I don't even have to say it. It's speaking for
I
itself.
love that.
So all of my vlogs where I'm on set, I don't need to say like anything. You're just watching the paid job happen. Obviously, this is a production happening. And I just got bored of the desktop YouTubers, and I just wanted to see inside a real look, authentic. What are the people who are in the field doing? And that's what I wanted to recreate. And so that's what I've done, and it's been the exact same reciprocation on the other end. The audience is like, this is so cool to see someone actually working and not talking about working.
I love that.
So
That's a way.
a quick
Last one.
quick little wrap up question. What do you see yourself with your YouTube channel? What do you see yourself building with that YouTube channel? Do you think you're gonna make multiple channels? Or do you think you're gonna make a specific type of video? Like what's the future for you and your channel?
Well, in the documentary example, I thought the coolest thing was showing my subject, the final film. And then it was the festival circuit. And then it was getting new clients from that. So right now, it's just having fun with the videos, interacting with the community. And I'm already getting these kind of partnerships where I get to host an event for the art of documentary. I get to have this, affiliate thing over here, and I just keep sharing, and it's growing. Like the opportunities are popping up without me trying to grab them. But once they pop up, then I'm saying, let's go that direction. Let's go this direction. And there's a lot of them that I passed up, like a lot of gear companies that are saying, can you talk about this? Can you talk about that? I'll do it if it fits, but if it doesn't, it's gonna ruin the whole channel.
Yeah.
Someone's gonna be like, oh, I can tell you this is a paid advertisement. So it's really not worth it. So what I'm just trying to do is have my career and my YouTube channel run parallel. And at sometimes this is supporting this, and then at sometimes this is supporting this. So I get the benefit of kind of like sitting back and seeing the opportunities pop up. And I know that the money is going to go up. I can already see it trending upwards. And like it took me a year to get 1,000 subscribers. And then in the last 8 months, I've got to 4,500 subscribers. So I'm like, well, that's an exponential increase.
Oh, and it's gonna increase. Like
It's going to
crazy
keep
now.
going.
It's gonna be like crazy now.
So, when you look at other YouTube channels, you'd say 4,500 is like just a dot. And it is. But I can just see it moving
it's
up.
gonna grow
I'm like, oh, this
exponentially.
is going to be great if I keep doing what I'm doing and trying new things and exploring and
How often
pushing.
are you posting right now? on YouTube?
I would say it probably averages to like 1.5 times per week,
Okay.
or right around there. But if it's a 7-day job, I'll put out 3 vlogs in a week, and then the next week might not have anything, and I'll make a vlog about what it's like for a freelancer who's not working. How do you spend your time? That's
interesting.
that's probably what's going to come out tomorrow. I'll do it next, and it'll probably be out by the time this podcast is out. And it's just this like hodgepodge of me doing this, going to the camera store, coming here, all these just random things that I'm not getting paid for. That is part of my freelancing life. And I think that would also be valuable to someone.
Yeah. I
Like,
that a lot.
I mostly work 5 to 12 days a month. And I could be completely fine financially with 5 to 12 days. Like, no problem. But if you're a normal 9-to-5-er, you're like, what are you doing the other days? Like, how do you not go stir crazy? And I'm like, well, there's always something to do. But now that this YouTube thing is here, I have 2 things that I can work on when one is low and one is high, So I'm going to keep pushing the YouTube channel forward. It's just organically moving forward and ready to kind of react to any of the opportunities that come towards me. I would love to do like an e-course in the future.
Yeah.
And like my whole channel is based on transparency. There's so much money in an e-course. And I talked about this in a vlog recently. I said, I broke down the numbers basically. If you have $100 course and you sold this many this year, this many this year, and this many next year, and it was just shy of 200 grand over 3 years for a $100 course. 250 sales the first year, 500 sales the next year, 100 or 1,000 the next one, 175 grand. And I was talking to my audience. I have the benefit with my channel that I can like just share. It doesn't have to be polished. And I said, I think my channel has given a lot more than $100 worth of value. Do I think I could package $100 worth of value into an e-course? I really do. And I think I could hit 250 sales the first year, 500, then 1,000. The 175 grand would be insane for me. That's like not a real number for me right now. That would be crazy. So I'm looking for something like that in the future. And I think the benefit of having the perspective of my channel is like, it doesn't look like a cold sell. It's like he talked about this 3 years ago, and this is what he wanted to do, and this is how he's always sharing.
Yeah.
So I would assume in the product that he's giving, he would have that like even more value, that same authentic value in there. So I'm not ready for that now, but I'm keeping my eyes open for opportunities like this because I'm garnering attention for myself. And that's what happens at a film festival. Who's the director? I'm the director. Can you come up to the front and speak and do a Q&A? Everybody's looking at you. So you have attention. And you know, it's up to you to pitch the next thing or you know, do whatever, but you have attention for that moment, and attention is really valuable, especially if they trust you and you deliver on what you say. So that's just with the YouTube channel. That's what I'm trying to do, is just keep that authenticity and grow that community there, because I like the back and forth with the audience. It's a really fun thing to do.
Heck yeah. That's great to hear too. For people that are getting inspired to do a YouTube channel.
And it's with the phone.
Yeah. Like you said, it's the easiness of you record with your phone, you edit with your phone, and you publish with your phone.
Yeah.
The easiest process.
There's a lot of people that think, oh, I have no tools. And it's like, do you have a personality? Do you have a career? Go for it.
Yeah, and you don't need the crazy YouTube personality. Like I don't have that. I have a very low energy personality, but that's my personality.
Chill energy.
So I can show that.
Yeah.
You know?
Because they're more chill for you.
Yeah, exactly. So, and that might be cool to some people, and that might be lame to other people. That's fine. You know, everybody has their own audience.
So, like, even having like 1% of the world population is still what, like 1 million, like 1 billion, 1 billion people.
My guy's going crazy. I think he's just hungry. That's a wrap. Any last things you want to share or say?
I would say feel free to tag yourself. Let the audience know where to find you.
I'm sure you guys will have the links, but it's at David Morefield on YouTube, at Morefield Visuals on Instagram. If you go to at David Morefield on Instagram, you're going to see my personal Instagram, which has nothing to do with video. It's just me in jungles and swimming in the streams. So
I might have
camera
tagged
stuff.
the wrong
Yeah. So yeah, but most of the stuff, like all of the continual updates, is on YouTube at David Morefield. So you know, I like sharing everything there. I have a lot of people that want to just ask so many questions, so I started offering consultation calls. So you can just like schedule by emailing me. My email's in the YouTube description, and we can do like a one-on-one. But it's just a really fun back and forth on YouTube that I don't feel like I get anywhere else. And it's something that I'm definitely going to keep pushing forward. And I always recommend that, like that pushing, that exploration, like usually leads you to something interesting or beneficial, or you didn't know that before. Because being stagnant feels like you're just you're stuck in the mud.
Yeah.
And you're waiting for something to happen, and you're like, oh, I have to take the step forward. And that step forward could be very minimal. Like I said, like filming with a phone is not the lights you guys hear, not the 3-camera operation you have here. This is an iPhone 13. It's, you know, it's a normal phone, and I've been using it for years, and it's been able to create this like nice side pillar to my career, my life, and I just like that the barrier to entry is like nothing.
I love that.
That's perfect.
That's it. Thank you guys
Thanks
for
for
joining us.
tuning in. We're not sponsored by the beers we're drinking, but we had a great time.
Maybe soon. Maybe we'll.
Soon, one day we'll be. Thank you guys. It's a wrap.